Good morning, everyone. This is Joyelle here from Parenting with PTSD, and I'm going to do a short talk today about self-care. I just put out a quick call for requests for topics, and that was the first one that came up, and I have just done a presentation last week about self-care, so it's fresh in my mind. So that was a great first request to get. So when we're talking about self-care, the first thing that I come up against is that it's kind of a nebulous concept. And often I think when people hear that phrase self-care, they think of like privileged white women doing yoga and going for spa treatments. And that's really not what self-care means at all. So what I like to do, first of all, is to reframe self-care as nervous system regulation, which helps to really ground it in the neuroscience of trauma and understanding how our brains respond. So we know that trauma survivors who've experienced toxic stress during childhood have an overreactive nervous system, which means that the amygdala, which is responsible for sensing danger and sending our body into fight or flight mode to escape the danger, tends to be over responsive. And we tend to be in a state of hyperarousal. So when we're talking about nervous system regulation, what we want to do is figure out how to cue safety to our body. How do we let our body know that in this moment we are safe, we are not in danger? And there are a few different methods that I'm going to suggest you give it a try. But of course, we all have different experiences in our lived bodies and our trauma histories. So what may be calming and soothing for one person may just be not effective at all, or even worse, set off a different person. So what this really takes is a very strong process of building your own personalized compassion toolkit. And when I work with people in one-on-one coaching, this is one of the big areas that we work on, is figuring out what you need to help cue safety to your personal nervous system with your interests, your history, and the body that you're living in. So I'm going to run through a few things that I call emergency first aid for your nervous system. So these are things that are going to do what I said, which is cue that feeling of safety to your body and your mind so that you can calm that system down, so you can take the amygdala offline, let the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus come back online, and get out of that fight, flight, freeze response. So the emergency first aid for your nervous system, this is for moments when you've just been triggered and you need to calm down quickly. So one is you can do a quick self-compassion break. And this is one that I just recently learned, and I found it really effective for people, and I've used it myself. So you take a moment to breathe, which is always the first step, right? And then you identify, this is a moment of suffering. And you can put your hand on your heart if that feels comfortable to you. And then next you say, other people feel this way. And this is a really important aspect, especially for survivors, because we tend to feel really alone, lonely, isolated, like we're the only ones who are experiencing this. So identifying that other people feel this way too can really help to take away that bit of, the shame or stigma that can sometimes come up when we're feeling triggered. And then the third step is to say, may I be kind to myself in this moment? So step one, this is a moment of suffering. Step two, other people feel this way. And step three, may I be kind to myself in this moment? Now you can add on some soothing touch to this. There's a few things you can try. One is just stroking the arm like this. If that feels calming and soothing, you could try just massaging the back of your neck. That's an area where we hold a lot of that tension, right? You can try just giving yourself a little squeeze and go down the arms. And I can't demonstrate this one because I'll just go off screen, but you can take your whole body and just flop over, right? And to do a rag doll, which helps open up that area at the base of the spine where we tend to hold a lot of tension when we're under stress. And you can hold one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. You can stroke the tops of your legs. any of these things, whatever kind of soothing touch feels comforting to you. Again, remember, this is supposed to cue safety to you. So it has to be something that works for you. And then if you have the option, the third step that I would recommend is just getting up and moving if you can. So that means just going for a short walk. If that's not an option, put on some music, especially if you're at home with your kids. This is a great one. Just put on some music and dance it out with your kids. That, again, you're helping activate get the good vibes in your body that say, I'm safe, I'm okay here, which helps take that amygdala offline. So those are a few things that you can do right in the moment whenever you are feeling triggered. And one of the most important things to remember is it has to work for you. So I've given you a whole bunch of suggestions there, but maybe one or two of those work for you. Well, that's great. That's fine. As long as it's something that feels comfortable in your body and cues that signal of safety. So I got a few more minutes here, and now I'm going to move on to just some daily things that we can do to help ourselves keep our nervous systems in a good place. So moments of self-care or nervous system regulation in advance before we end up being triggered. And these are things that take a lot of practice to get into, and especially for survivors can be challenging because our usual mode is dissociation. So we're not used to doing this, but one of the things that really helps is starting to learn to practice mindful attention, which is just noticing what's happening. Do a quick body scan from head to toe, like, what am I feeling? And when you do that, ask yourself, can I remove any discomforts in this moment? For example, do I need to pee really badly? And have I needed to pee for the last 15 minutes? That's something you can do something about. Is the chair that I'm sitting in not comfortable for me because it's at the wrong height and I really need to put something underneath my feet so that my spine's in the correct alignment? This is a big one for all of us short people. Is most chairs are not designed for us, and so we end up sitting in this uncomfortable position all day. And these little discomforts that we continually put up with, they add on to that already overstimulated hyperarousal state of our nervous system, and it makes us more quick to be triggered into something more like a fight response. So if we can just take those little annoyances and remove a few of them, it'll help us stay in that calm state a lot longer. And then once you've done checking in with the body, just checking in with the emotions and how am I feeling right now? And you can use something called the mood meter for this. And this is something, again, it can take practice because we are constantly in our thinking minds, because that's more comfortable for us. But to learn to feel safe in feeling our emotions. So the mood meter, if you look it up online, you'll see a little diagram of it. And it has a red zone, a yellow zone, a blue zone, and a green zone. And it identifies a whole bunch of different emotions in each of the colors, and you can kind of see where you're at. And this is a tool that a lot of kindergarten teachers use when they're teaching kids to become more emotionally regulated. And I think it's great for adults too, especially when you're at home with your children. You can have a little mood meter, stuck it up on the wall, and you can have conversations with your kids about, right now, mommy's feeling in the blue zone. I'm a bit sad and tired. And right now, it looks like you're in the yellow zone and you're very excited and hyper. Is that how you're feeling right now? And you can normalize those conversations with your kids, which is great for both of you because it gives you this common language to talk about how you're feeling and to accept those emotions and be emotionally literate. So I'm going to stop there because I'm running out of time, but I just wanted to invite, if you have any other questions or concerns about self-care and about self-regulation, feel free to throw them in the comments and I'll come back later today and respond to any of them that you have. So again, this is Joyelle from Parenting with PTSD. I write and speak about parenting with PTSD, and I also do one-on-one coaching with moms who are trauma survivors who want some support on an individual level. And you can find out more about my work at parentingwithptsd.com, and I'm at my personal website, joyellebrandt.com. All right, Have a great day, everybody, and be kind to yourself.